latest news, insights, and behind-the-scenes action from the world of stock car racing. Whether you're a die-hard fan or a casual observer, we're bringing you the checkered flag and coverage. So buckle up, grab your favorite drink, and get ready to make the next left turn with us, where every lap is an adventure.
And how about the next left turn? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Variety Sports Network. My name is Josh Edwards. I am your host. Aaron, the cast man, unfortunately couldn't join us last second this evening. He is A-OK. He will be here next Sunday night as we cover Daytona. Ooh, the big Daytona race. Gotta love the summer Daytona race. That's next week. We'll see you guys Sunday night for that one. We're here to talk about Michigan tonight. Since I am by myself, I'm not going to drag it on tonight. We're not going to have much side conversations. I do want to recap a couple things that happened during the week. We're going to break the race down real quick. We'll give you a points update, and we'll get out of here because I know y'all had a long day at work, and I'm sure you only want to listen to me talk as long as you have to get filled in. So, first and foremost, we all know about the controversial end last week at Richmond with Austin Dillon. Some penalties were handed out. There is an appeal, so we'll have an update for you guys on that on Sunday because the appeal will happen on Wednesday. But as of right now, the NASCAR penalties stand that Austin Dillon has lost his playoff eligibility. He does get to keep the win. So RCR gets a W. It was much needed for them in the way, and we covered this last week, the way in which he went about it. That's racing. In a playoff format, you do what you have to do to get across the finish line. In a line that is invisible, as we very clearly stated and talked about last week, NASCAR has made that line a little less invisible now. You can't just wreck two competitors to win a race. It sounds like you can still wreck one, but you can't wreck two deliberately. So that's what it looks like. But so Dillon's been stripped of his playoff eligibility unless he wins, unless he would have won the race to finish today or one of the next two races. He is also docked 25 points. The owner is docked 25 points, so team points. The spotter, Brandon Benesic. I don't know how to say his name. My apologies, Brandon. I know you're getting kicked right now. I'm not trying to kick you worse than you already are because I know you've tuned in for the show tonight. He has been suspended for 3 cup races, and this is going back more to the context of what he was telling his driver to do, Austin Dillon, in that last set of turns. The wreck him is probably what got him. So let's just be honest. It is what it is. 3 race suspension. I think that's a little bit heavy. I think that's a conversation, maybe 1 race and a fine, but it is 3 races. It is what it is. We'll see how the appeal works out. And then Joey Logano, for his hot-headed emotions, got penalized $50,000. And that's all he's going to have happen. What he did was, and anybody who doesn't know NASCAR or racing or who's never watched a race, everybody would have thought that was extremely dangerous, which it did have some danger to it because he could have lost control of the car, spinning the tires, things of that nature. But Joey Logano is we'll call it world-class driver. Anybody who races in NASCAR, or almost every driver in NASCAR, is a world-class driver. So we'll say he had control of the car and he knew what he was doing. So he gets a $50,000 fine. So they just tapped his pocketbook a little bit. So that's the kind of the recap there. We'll have more for you after Wednesday's appeal announcement or appeal decision, excuse me. The other good news that came out is the Clash is going to be back this year. We're going to get the Clash. It's going to be on February 2nd. I don't know about you guys. I enjoy the Clash. I think it's a fun exhibition race. I think it's cool. We saw it in the Coliseum for a couple years. I'm super excited for next year's. I can't tell you how excited I am. It's going to be in North Salem. It's going to be at the Bowman Gray Stadium. This thing is basically a circle, maybe a little bit of an egg. It looks cool. It's old. NASCAR hasn't raced there since the 70s. So that means every time NASCAR goes to a track they haven't been at or they've never raced at, Joey Logano is in the mix for a W. Again, an exhibition race only for money. I'm sure he'll take it. But I'm already putting him in as my pick for next year at that track for that race. So there was 4 minutes to get us caught up. Let's get into today's race, yesterday's race, this weekend's race at Michigan, the Firekeepers 400. Yes, we were supposed to see you guys last night. We put a message out before 3 or 4 hours before the show was supposed to start that we were going to go tonight because of the rain delay and the race wasn't finished. Because do you guys really want to tune in to watch me and Aaron, or in this case, just me talk about 52 laps of racing? No, you don't. We want to get all the goods. But let's get to it. Stage 1. So you guys know every time we start, I like to show the opening lap. So let's get that puppy up here and let's get rocking and rolling.
Green flag is out. We're racing in Michigan.
Gotta love that sound. This was like the most relaxed start of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, every time they had a restart, it looked like a train. The cars were touching bumper to bumper. We were lucky we even got through the
into
restarts.
A headwind as they go into turn 3.
Look at the
big
movement.
Run there
Early
by
in the
Kyle
race.
Larson. Can he take the lead in 3?
And he
Slides
does.
up the racetrack and takes it away from Reddick.
What an aggressive move. He caught those two guys side by side, used the draft.
Kyle Larson was extremely, extremely quick. He had a great car for the day. But that was the opening lap. And man, I can't get over how much I love the sound of NASCARs going around the track. If they actually bring in this electric car, guys, it's going to sound so horrible. And we're never going to get the enjoyment of that. So make sure you're listening to the races as much as you're watching them going forward for the next 7 to 10 years. Because as soon as they bring in these battery-powered cars, it's going to sound like nothing. No fun. It's going to sound like we're racing RC cars. Because that's basically what they will be. Really, really fast RC cars that are driven by people. But anyways, as we saw at the start of the race, Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick were on the front row. It's a 200-lap race, 400 miles, 2-mile track. This track is insanely fast. It doesn't have the same aero package like Talladega and Daytona have for these big, fast super speedways. So the cars here are going over 200 miles an hour. I know that's something we see in IndyCar for you IndyCar fans or people who watch the 500 or just people who've seen clips from IndyCar. Those cars go really fast. This is the fastest mile per hour wise track in NASCAR. These cars are breaking 205, 206 miles an hour in the draft. It is insane. I think I saw 206 on the 4th lap of the race. I'm pretty sure it was Keselowski who got clocked with that. Again, that wasn't just his car and his motor going that fast. That was the draft and everything else that goes on with this track and the race, the pavement, the tires, the whole 9 yards. But as the green flag drops, we all saw it. Larson makes a dive. He gets down to the inside, passes, and takes the lead from Hamlin and Reddick at the start of the race. It's pretty smooth sailing. There's a lot of bump drafting here, and this race was a lot of fun to watch. I was very disappointed that I didn't get to watch it all because, like most of you, I have a daytime job I have to go to every day. So 10 o'clock this morning Central Time while I was in the office was not a great time to watch the race. I had it on in the background listening, but I couldn't see everything. So bear with me this evening because I have a lot of extra notes here. We're going to try to get through this as quick as possible. But like I said, started the race pretty calm. That was the cleanest restart it seemed like all day. And it wasn't even a restart. It was the start of the race. It was the cleanest. It was fast. Like I don't remember Michigan being this fast. And I'll be honest with you, I rarely watch the Michigan race. It's just, I usually in the middle of the NASCAR season as a fan, I just kind of tail off and I watch the tracks I like. Michigan's not one of the tracks. I will be watching Michigan next year because this race was awesome. I love bump drafting. I love working the draft. I love the aerodynamics. It's super cool. For those of us who are not educated enough to understand it all, it's phenomenal to watch. But it's just a lot of bump drafting, a lot of it changing places. There's a lot of movement in this race. You can go front to back really quickly. You can go back to front really quickly, all because of the aerodynamic packages with these cars, the tires they had set up here, which ended up being a problem at one point in the race, and we'll get to that. But around lap 35, Denny Hamlin is caught up to Larson at this point, and he's driving, and they're side drafting. He's coming behind, and they end up slowing each other down, battling for position at the lead. And Bubba Wallace, who had an excellent car today and yesterday, excellent car. He ran a very good, clean race. He just went by them like the Acme rocket that Wile E. Coyote was strapped to. I mean, he just dipped down and went. He was gone. It was impressive. It was awesome. I love seeing that kind of work. It's just insane. I want to give you guys a little bit of another clip, or I want to give you guys the clip of this pass. It is absolutely ridiculous. I've got it teed up here for you. Let me get it out here on screen. You're going to see Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson side by side fighting for first place, and then out of nowhere, because Bubba's not even in the camera shot, Bubba just comes by and zips on by. Great pass. I mean, just good, clean racing all the way through.
Lead. Hamlin. And look at
He
the
just
run.
goes. He gone.
As those two went side by side. The run of Bubba Wallace blew by them both, and Bubba Wallace has taken the lead here at Michigan.
He was slingshot engaged and shake and bake ready with no help. And that's because both cars, they were okay. So if you don't know or understand the aerodynamics, I'm going to try to give you the most generic simpleton's explanation. So when the car's going through for the drafting purposes, all the air comes underneath the car, over the car and underneath the car, which then if you tuck the car behind it can go faster and push the car in front of it. Cool. We understand that part. But when you got two cars going at it side by side, it's making that draft window bigger. So what Wallace did basically was he got behind both cars and used the air feed and then cut out and pulled by them. It was cool. We don't see that often anymore in racing with the way they have these cars set up. That was phenomenal. It wasn't much later, like 4 laps, and Denny Hamlin wrecks himself. He gets loose, and it's off the dirty air off Wallace, to be honest with you. It's not like he was just there and the car just got loose. He got some dirty air, and he ends up sliding up and then going through the infield grass. No major damage. This worked out really well for Denny because it happened right before the rain came Sunday and messed everything up. But I got a clip of it. You'll see here that he's close to Bubba. And you'll just see him lose control. The back end comes loose. Nothing crazy, nothing malicious here.
23 continue to fight for the lead, and the 11 goes around. The 11 slid into the wall and then into the grass. He goes. Caution comes out.
That's the other side of that wake we've been talking about, Steve.
And he got super lucky getting it backed up on the track that there was nobody coming up from the rear who was going to take him out and hit him. That could have been a serious injury. We know in NASCAR there's always an opportunity for serious injury. These guys put their lives on the line to entertain us, and they do a damn good job of it. Let me tell you that much. Now, I was talking about how fast the speed was at this track. I found this clip, and I wanted to show this to you guys. If you don't understand the power coming off of these cars and the ferociousness of the speeds and the power that comes on, watch this. There's this guy right here with this hat on and this yellow shirt. Check this clip out. And this is off like a restart. And there goes his hat. Like, I thought it was a cool clip. I wanted to share it with you guys. It's insane, the power and the force that comes behind these 3,000-pound machines. It's just awesome. So at this point, there was a caution there. No big deal. Wallace takes everybody down to pit lane. Elliott's crew gets him out first. And he'll restart 7th because a few cars decided to stay out and play the game because at this point they know weather's coming in. They've been watching and watching the weather the whole time. They even had a rain delay before the race got started. So we started like 3 hours late. But this is the real first pit stop, and Elliott ends up having the best pit crew at this moment, and he wins the race off pit road. So he comes out 7th. But a couple guys, knowing the rain was coming, stayed out for position, and ends up being Ryan Blaney and William Byron take over the front row. We go back to green racing with 3 laps to go. Blaney gets the jump and he's out, gone, clears in turn 1, doesn't look back. He wins stage 1. He gets the 10 stage points. He needs those for the playoffs because he is back in the playoff line behind guys who have won multiple races in front of him. And he's trying to defend his title. And I don't blame him. He raced it clean. He got it. They played strategy, knowing that the rain was coming. So at the end of stage 1, Ryan Blaney gets the win. Chase Elliott gets 2nd. William Byron gets 3rd. Bubba Wallace 4th. Chris Buescher 5th. Kyle Busch, having a great race, finishes 6th. Brad Keselowski 7th, who is a Michigan man. 8th was Martin Truex Jr. 9th was Alex Bowman. And 10th was Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Man, trying to stay in the fight because he's on the cusp of not making the playoffs. So he's doing everything he can. The Watermelon Man's got it going on. He was in that stupid Busch Light Peach car today. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't like that car. I like the Busch Light cars that are the camo and the regular Busch Light. But let's move on. So we get to stage 2, and it doesn't last long. Blaney and the cars that didn't pit stayed out, of course. Elliott doesn't. He comes out 7th. They come back onto the track. Rain has moved in. They wait just a little bit because at this point it's like 6 o'clock my time. And they say, forget it. We don't have lights. We're going to have to run tomorrow. Because they were only 52 laps through. So you weren't halfway through. Couldn't count as a full race. And we as the fans want the full race. The part about racing is the endurance. We want to see who can stand the test of the time or the mileage and win the race. I mean, that's what racing's about. It's not one race sprints. It's not 50 lap sprints. It's you got to go and you got to have some endurance and make these machines run for you. So it's today. It's 10 o'clock Central Time when the green flag drops. And trust me, they were on it right on time. They wanted to get done and out of there today. As the green flag drops, it's Elliott and Busch are on the front. And we have a clip of this first lap for you as well. So let me get this one up here. As you'll see, Elliott's in the Napa car and Busch is in the Lucas Oil car.
It'll be 55 laps complete when they get to the line, and 65
Look how close
to
they
go
are.
in stage 2. It's underway for Michigan.
And you see the dump.
Right away, we see the 22 of Logano jump out of line, get down to the bottom of the racetrack, making it 3 wide going into turn 1.
About 4 wide there about the 4th row.
And we saw 4 wide all day long today. I say we saw. You guys saw if you watched it. If you didn't watch it, there was 4 wide racing all over the track today. I thought for sure we were going to have a massive, massive accident at some point. We never really had a big one. We had one good one. We'll get there. But we didn't have a big one. With the way these cars were moving and the bump drafting was happening, and when you saw these cars wiggle, you thought every 5 laps there was going to be a major accident. I mean, the talent that these race car drivers have, I have never, ever appreciated until I started doing this show for you guys. I'm paying more attention. I'm seeing the talent. It is absolutely insane what these guys can do behind the wheel of a race car. It makes me think of Days of Thunder when Tom Cruise goes, "There's nothing I can't do in a race car." So these guys really, there's not much they can't do in a race car. Kyle Larson's one of them. He's phenomenal. And no, I don't root for him, but he is a phenomenal driver, just like Jimmy Johnson was, and Jeff Gordon, and Rusty Wallace, and Cale Yarborough. I mean, we're going way back now, but we have a couple really, really good drivers. Kyle Larson is somebody we are going to appreciate when we are 20 years past his retirement. We're going to look back and go, golly, we got to watch one of the best to ever do it. But green flag drops for stage 2, and Elliott clears Busch for the lead, and they go round and round. It's not a couple laps later, but Mr. Rowdy catches up to Mr. Elliott. And this is fun because these two guys, I'm not gonna say they don't like each other, but they've had their little battles here and there, and they've traded some paint from time to time. But Rowdy wasn't having it. Rowdy was on the move. He was a man on a mission. He still is trying to get his first win of the year. He's got 19 years consecutively with wins. If he doesn't win one here, he's going to break his streak. He's got one of the best streaks in racing history. And let's see his move for the lead.
Pulled in line behind him. He'll have another run. Look how quick the runs come.
I mean, they're just so fast.
Complete it this time. He drifts up in front of Elliott, and he does take the lead. 19 seasons, 19 years, Kyle Busch has won a race. This is the only one that's standing in his way to keeping that streak alive.
And he was going for it today. He had no reason not to. RCR had a great run last week with Austin Dillon. There's no reason Rowdy shouldn't be able to be up there. Take the information, give it to his team, and set that car up to where it can go. Rowdy, I really thought Rowdy was going to have a chance. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't getting to watch it, so I wasn't seeing everything that the cars were doing. But listen to it while I was at work. I thought Rowdy was going to be the clear cut in this. I thought it was going to be Rowdy, and it was going to be Truex Jr. at the end. I knew what I was looking for, what I was expecting. But we'll get there. So about 9 laps later, Martin Truex starts getting runs, and he gets a good run on Busch coming out of, think he was coming out turn 4. I think we were going in the next lap. But he drives. He does a deep cut. He does a deep cut down on and Truex clears for the lead, and Elliott actually follows with him on the draft and bumps Busch back 2 spots real quickly. And then nothing really happens. Like, it just kind of calms down. Like, you still got your bump drafting. The speeds are still ridiculously awesome. But we don't have anything exciting for like, I don't know, 15 laps. And then Austin Cindric and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. they get a little bit of it into it. Regardless, Cindric ends up touching the wall, slowing down. Him and Stenhouse Jr. were rubbing a little bit, but nothing major. Again, it's racing. They weren't trying to wreck each other. Cindric gets a little loose. He ends up brushing the wall. No caution comes out. Everybody keeps racing. And about 20 laps later, we start the green flag cycle. And this is where, and we've talked about strategy a lot this year with the fuel and the stages and the points and all this good jazz. And we're going to start seeing everything happen because now the race is halfway over and there is no rain in the forecast. So it's nut up or shut up at this point. So guys are going to start taking gambles. We're going to start taking risks. They're betting on the fact there's going to be other cautions coming. So Kyle Larson gets to cycle back to the front after. I think so. Yeah, Kyle Larson cycles back to the front after the green flag pit stop cycles, and Truex Jr. stays with him the whole way. It's not much later than that we have a major tire issue. 3 cars involved in 3 different spots. They all blow right side tires. It's Joey Logano, Todd Gilliland, and AJ Allmendinger all pick up right rears. They all go flat. And I mean, Joey's came completely off. I mean, there was nothing left on the rim except for the edges, the outside edges of the tire. The whole rest of it was gone. Gilliland had 2 tires down. Allmendinger had 2 tires down. Caution comes out for this one. People were suspecting that there was something maybe on the track, some debris. Logano's crew chief, Mr. I think Paul Wolf is his name, if I recall correctly. We've talked about him earlier in the year. He said, yeah, we were running pretty low on tire pressure. So during green flag pit stops, this is really dangerous because they run the tires on lower pressure to provide more grip. But in doing this, the tires also are not nearly as durable, which is kind of, in my perception of understanding this, softer tires wear out quicker. Well, when tires aren't inflated all the way, they take time to get up to full air pressure, they're a little bit softer. And he kind of admitted it might have had something to do with that, but the fact that all 3 cars on all the same side had tires blow out tells me either debris on the track, or yes, the pressures were too low, or Goodyear put out a bad set of tires, and these 3 teams got them. I'm not pointing fingers at Goodyear. They make a great tire for racing. They've done a great job all year long. When they've come across a tire that had a problem, they've found a way to fix it or at least improve it and minimize the problem. So they all end up getting tire issues. This leads to, like I said, a caution. And a lot of the leaders at this point head to pit lane, but Chastain and Busch stay out. Again, like I was talking about, this is where all this strategy starts coming into play. They're playing the fuel game. And it serves them well. It's a good move for them. They're both outside the playoffs right now looking in. I mean, Ross is right there at this point in the race. Kyle's like 100 points back. It's going to be tough for him to make it. He has to win basically to get into the playoffs, or he has to win every stage and finish in the top 10 every race to even have a chance mathematically. So Byron actually wins the race off the pits because he only took 2 tires. Again, different strategy. So you had guys that stayed out, you had guys that took 2, and you got guys that took 4. So when the green flag waves, it's Busch and Chastain, and Busch ends up clearing Chastain in turn 1. But Kyle Larson causes the big one today. And I think he was off turn 4. I don't have that in my notes. All I know is I'm pretty sure it's turn 4. I watched the replay twice. But he comes out, he gets dirty air, and he ends up spinning around, and then he takes out a host of cars. It's Bubba Wallace, who was having a great race, couldn't get out of the way. He was right behind him. Chase Briscoe gets collected. Joey Logano gets collected. Buescher gets collected. Christopher Bell gets collected. And Todd Gilliland ends up being in the accident. And this is, I mean, this is basically the end of stage 2. This is what ends stage 2. I got the clip right here. We're going to show it to you. It's a sky shot. So just kind of pay attention to everything. If you don't know racing, I'll try to point out who's who in here. Most of our fans should know the paint schemes on the car.
You rocketed on this restart. Oh, and a round goes to 5. Big Kyle Larson involved in this one, as well as the 14 of Briscoe.
Briscoe down here.
Multiple
Buescher,
cars. You see Buescher, last year's winner, in the grass.
Buescher's one of those guys. He's racing to try to get in the playoffs.
A lot of damage.
Does he have?
Look at the damage to the 5 of Larson.
Here it is one more time. You see him get loose, dirty air, collect.
Big Kyle Larson involved in this one, as well as the 14 of Briscoe.
So that basically just ruined a bunch of guys' days. Larson came out right after he got cleared and said it was his fault. He felt bad. And Larson is fantastic when it comes to the media. Like, when I say fantastic, I mean he says the things you're supposed to say. It was my fault. I should have been more patient. I shouldn't have tried to run 3 wide. He said that in the past. I should have given more space. I mean, he does the job well. It's unfortunate. He's such a good driver and he's aggressive, and sometimes things happen. I have the in-car camera here from Kyle Larson and from Bubba Wallace. You guys know I love playing these. Let me get this one up here. We're going to see it from another angle. Kyle Larson's on top. Bubba Wallace is on the bottom. Here we go. A little bit of bump there. It's nothing crazy. Nothing malicious. He just got in some dirty air, it looks like. And Ryan Blaney gets real lucky there. And you just see madness. Now, Bubba Wallace does get away. He does get a little banged up, but he gets away there where he's still able to race and continue for now. So, I mean, it's just, it was phenomenal. And then I got a clip here from Chase Elliott. I want to make sure this is the right one. Yeah, this is the right one. This is Chase Elliott's in-car cam. And he avoids the accident like it's the plague. He does the perfect job driving. He goes up high, gets out the way. He's following Ryan Blaney. Let's check out this look. You see Bubba down here. Kyle's about to spin up here. There he goes. And Chase just sneaks by. Like, the space he had was nothing. But he gets by and he gets out of the way and he lives to fight another day. That was the big one today. And I know you guys are like, Josh, that wasn't even that big of an accident. I know it wasn't that big of an accident, but it was the big accident of the day. Can't do much about that. Now, it was not the most exciting accident of the day, but we're going to get to that in a minute. So Kyle Larson's accident where he collects everybody ends up ending stage 2. So Kyle Busch gets the W for stage 2, Ross Chastain 2nd, Ty Gibbs 3rd, William Byron 4th, Austin Dillon 5th, Brad Keselowski 6th, Martin Truex Jr. 7th, Eric Jones 8th, Ryan Blaney 9th, and Cody Ware 10th. A couple guys who have no chance at the playoffs there unless they win a race. Blaney getting some playoff points. Chastain trying to help himself out. Gibbs trying to help himself out. Keselowski, William Byron. Maybe it helps out Austin Dillon depending on what the appeal goes through. And Martin Truex Jr. still fighting for a spot. He seems point-wise very comfortable to make it and get in. But we'll have to see what happens because obviously if they reinstate Austin's win and then Reddick won today and there's 2 more races left, Truex is going to have to win to get in most likely. Or just finish very high and do well in the stages. That should lock him up. He might be locked up by the end of Daytona. Who knows? But let's get to stage 3. So stage 3 we start, and Busch stays out again. He is playing the strategy game because he has to have the win. He is mathematically, I can't say mathematically not capable. The odds of him mathematically making it on points alone are slim to none. So he stays out. Chastain actually goes to the pits this time and gives up 2nd place. When we restart for stage 3, it's Busch and William Byron up front. They are side by side. And a lap later, Byron slides past Busch and clears him. And this is where I think Busch's team got too aggressive. They should have pulled him in and at least gotten right side tires, if nothing else, just to carry him for a little bit longer and see if it plays off into a later caution. They don't. They stay out. He ends up losing some spots. It's not long after that we get our most exciting part of the day. Corey LaJoie goes for a ride, and I mean a roller coaster ride at 200 miles an hour down the backstretch, upside down on his lid. This is going to be something that's going to be looked at very heavily by NASCAR. These cars are designed not to get airborne, one, and two, not to flip over. Well, both of those things happened, and thank God Corey LaJoie is perfectly fine, walked out of the infield center. When you guys see the car at the end, the roll cages in these cars are phenomenal. You can barely tell this car was upside down, except for the fact that all the paint on the roof was torn off. I mean, he slides basically down the whole stretch. It's ridiculous. You guys know I got a clip of this one. It's 25 seconds. So it's not the longest clip in the world, but I got a good clip of it. He was up here on the rear end of Noah Gragson. The lap before, they were doing a little bit of bumping. Corey LaJoie bumped him a little bit going down the backstretch. Corey kind of implies he doesn't know if Noah checked down on him at all a little bit, and that's what caused this. Obviously, Noah didn't have any malicious intent here, but let's watch this. I mean, literally, he's going to spin and go airborne here, so don't look away.
Makes contact, and then there, as soon as the car gets sideways,
he just slides.
Air just lifts the car.
Look how fast he's still moving.
And again, to give you
hey, watch.
Let's hear from Dave first.
On pit road now is the 8th.
AMR safety crew immediately to Corey as he climbs out.
So he climbs out. I want to make sure you guys saw that too.
Remember, these cars over
3,000-pound vehicle. Obviously, it wasn't sliding at 200 miles an hour, but boy, was that car moving as it was sliding on its roof down the way. I can't imagine doing that. I mean, I'm a thrill seeker. Like, I love roller coasters and all kinds of crazy stuff. That's not something I really ever want to do unless I know I'm walking away from it and not getting hurt. But we have to give credit to the engineers who design these vehicles to keep these drivers safe. They work. They're making the right steps to make these cars safe. And you saw that car. It wasn't crushed. It wasn't bent. The roll cage did its job. Corey LaJoie, who's without a ride going into next year as of right now, walked away safely from that all on his own 2 feet and under his own power by the grace of God. And by the engineering and brain of the guys who build and design these cars. So that takes a little bit of time out. Obviously, there's some cleaning up to do. At this point, Busch actually does go to the pits, finally, but a lot of guys stay out with William Byron and Brad Keselowski, and they actually end up taking over the front row. But Elliott is close. He when the green flag drops, he immediately goes 3 wide into turn 1, and he takes it. He takes it like it's his, and he runs like he stole it. And then everything's really calm. Like, everything just calms down for like 20 laps. It's weird because it was very aggressive, a lot of bumping, a lot of drifting. You know, that's how these super speedways are. But we get this calmness, and it's like everybody's getting ready for the end. Well, with about 40 laps to go, Tyler Reddick, who had a great car all day, he was running a great race. 2311 has been putting some great product on the track for us to watch. The drivers are getting better and better. I'm sorry, my camera's moving so much this evening. It's still moving. Anyways, but Reddick goes to look underneath Elliott. They battle for the lead for a little bit. Reddick eventually clears him and takes it away, and he just goes. But with the next lap later, Reddick and Elliott both drive to pit lane on the green. Elliott wins the race off the pits. Busch took just 2 cars, took 2 tires earlier, so he cycles through out ahead of Byron, ahead of Reddick, and ahead of Elliott. At this point, he's either hoping for cautions throughout the end to get to the end, to not only save fuel, but to save the tires. Or he's just trying to get as high as he can, hope for a caution late, and then be able to pit with everybody. So he gets out front for a little bit. With 25 laps to go, Reddick is caught back up to Busch, and Reddick goes right by him. No problem. At this point, the tires are making the difference. This was actually a battle for like 11th or 12th place because there were like 10 or 11 cars who hadn't pitted yet. They were just hanging out there waiting, again, playing the strategy game, waiting for a caution. And this never seems to happen. With about 11 or 12 laps left, Josh Berry is the last car to pit. And at this point, Reddick is cycled all the way back to the front, and William Byron is now 2 seconds behind. We have a late caution. The late caution came a little bit too late for those 10, 11 cars who decided to stay out and try to play the caution game. Martin Truex Jr. gets loose, bumps the wall, and they throw the flag. Okay, fine. No big deal. I didn't give you guys a clip of this one. There's nothing to it. He got a little loose. He bumped the wall, scraped it. He kept going. They threw the flag because it was close to the end of the race. They didn't want to have a major accident with a slow car down the front stretch, or car getting back up to speed. So we go into overtime, and we love overtime here on the next left turn. We love it. It's exciting. It's a shootout. It's fun. It's the way racing should end. A race should never end under a yellow. Ever. Ever. NASCAR, mark my words. You should never have a race end under a yellow. I love the overtime. I don't care if it's 6 overtimes. I love the overtime. It's fantastic. It's great. But we go into overtime, and we get some jostling. I mean, it's 2 laps, guys. It's 2 laps, ladies and gentlemen. That's all it is. This is a straight up shootout. All's fair in love and war and racing in overtime. Well, Keselowski's behind Byron. Reddick is opposite of Byron, so it's Byron and Reddick that start off. Keselowski gives Byron a big push, gets in front of Reddick, and Reddick started on the outside because that's where he wanted to be. He gets shuffled out a little bit, and of course, with the car stacked up, we end up with an accident because we love accidents in overtime. And it's Ross Chastain, the watermelon man, and this one's not even actually his fault. Let me be honest with you. It's not his fault at all. William Byron's teammate actually gets loose on the backstretch, touches the wall. Alex Bowman, if you didn't know who I was referring to, gets a little loose, touches the wall, backs a bunch of other guys up. When he comes off the wall, this causes Ross to react. Ross gets a little loose sideways, and he goes for a spin. I got the clip for you here on this one, too. Let me give you this clip real quick. And you'll see it. You'll see, like, okay, so here's Reddick, here's Byron, here's Busch, Blaney, Elliott's in there somewhere, and it's right around here. Is that purple car? And look, you can already see one car sideways. That's Chase Elliott.
Reddick with momentum going down the backstretch, and look at him fan out behind him.
Whoa!
And around goes the 1. Ross Chastain spins into the inside wall. Caution comes out.
I don't think he ever hit
No,
it.
he never did hit the inside wall. He's still on the gas.
So if you don't know what he's doing there, why he stays on the gas, he's trying to get out of the grass because of the flat bottom on those cars. They just get stuck, and he wasn't trying to get stuck. He still ends up getting stuck. They have to push him out, but he does end up getting to finish the race. So again, that was Bowman got a little loose, tagged the wall, came off the wall. Everybody bunched up. Ross then gets loose in time, and he goes around, and we get another restart. And they're phenomenal. Let's be honest. They're phenomenal. We love it. The last restart, I have it here for you. It's a big one. This is a longer clip for us. You'll see that Reddick's on the inside this time. He wanted the outside. I want to remind you guys, he wanted the outside. That's where he went the last time. Byron flipped on him for the second restart. So I want to give you guys this clip. And then I got an extra clip here at the end to show you something just because I kind of want to brush over it. So we got Reddick, Byron, Keselowski, Gibbs, Elliott, Busch, Blaney, and Hamlin, who had the accident on day 1. I could say day 1 yesterday, and then worked his way back to the field, stayed out of trouble. Even after he had the accident, had the damage, he worked his way back up. Then you got Buescher, who was collected in that big wreck earlier, and then you got Carson Hocevar. And here we go.
And a big push on that outside line.
Look at these guys touching. Gibbs, they're a train.
A big
boom, 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 boom.
6 checked up. That pulled a lot of them back. Reddick out in front. Gibbs trying to clear for second. He's not going to be able to
He
get by
gone.
Byron as they go down the backstretch.
I don't
Look
know
at
how
the
he did
moves
that
here.
right there when the 6 checked up.
Kyle Busch trying to move up to fourth.
Now keep your eyes
Now,
on Blaney and Elliott here
William Byron
in the last
is
lap.
closed into the back bumper of that 45 as they come up on 1 lap to go in Michigan. One more time around.
Oh, gotta love the sound.
Reddick out front. Byron, he's going to look to the outside.
203, 202 as the leader. He's not even
3
getting pushed.
car lengths separate the top 2 as they go through 2.
See how
So
they
on
just
the
start
racetrack,
falling
the 9
back?
and the 12.
We're going to show you why that
They're
happened.
backing up. Up front. One more set of turns. Reddick with a 3 car length advantage now. Pulling away as he comes out of 4. Tyler Reddick is going to win again. This time it's in Michigan.
So a very special win for Tyler Reddick, if you guys didn't know. His mentor, Scott Bloomquist. Scott built his cars when he was younger. He was killed in a plane accident last week. So this one was really hit close to home for Tyler Reddick. He wanted to win this race. He got the job done. I'm happy for him. I love the storybook endings. I like them in most sports. But Tyler Reddick gets the second win of the season. MJ, as far as I know, was not at Michigan today. So it's just him and his family and his kids and his team, which is fantastic. But like I said, I wanted you to pay attention to Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney there in that last lap. They started falling back. They were up front. They should have both had way more playoff points at the end of that race. But there was some rubbing here. And to me, it looks like Elliott checked up on the last lap, which I'm not mad at him about. Like, this is racing. It's the last lap. You guys are fighting for playoff positioning. Both these guys are in the playoffs, though. Let's keep that in mind. Both these guys are locked in the playoffs. They've won races this year. They shouldn't be having this. We'll see if this carries over to races down the road. But I do want to show you this in-car clip. It's Elliott on top. Blaney's on the bottom here. And you can see this is what causes them to fall back. See, they're here. Boom. There's Elliott checks up. And Blaney just starts falling. But at that point, Elliott's done, pulled himself out of the speed lane. And you see all the other cars go by. I'm not sure what Chase was thinking. I'm not sure what he was doing. Maybe he just got a little loose with some dirty air. I don't know. But optically, it looks bad because both of these guys are in the playoffs. Neither one of them are in position to win. They're too far back, even for the draft, to pull them up to get the lead on Reddick. So I don't understand what the checkup was about. It could have been good, clean racing down to the wire, those two side-by-side, photo finish for whatever it would have been 6th, 7th, 8th place. But they both could have gotten playoff points. Instead, they both ended up falling back into the field, and they're both hurt. Disappointing in for the day, but it is what it is. That's racing. So I'm not going to get mad about it. You shouldn't get mad if you're a Chase Elliott fan. You're probably happy that he knocked Blaney out the way. If you're a Blaney fan, you're probably upset. Guess what? That's racing. Deal with it. On to the next left turn, right? That's how we do things here. All right, so let me get you guys the finishing order here. It was Tyler Reddick, then William Byron in second, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Busch with his best finish, 4th, Brad Keselowski, 5th, Chris Buescher, 6th, Zane Smith, 7th, Daniel Suarez, 8th, Denny Hamlin, 9th, Carson Hocevar, 10th, Ryan Preece, 11th, Noah Gragson, 12th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 13th. Harrison Burton had a good race today. He was in the lead a little bit there early in the race. Finishes 14th. Chase Elliott 15th. Eric Jones 16th. Austin Dillon 17th. Ryan Blaney with a disappointing 18th place. Michael Bigdow 19th. Justin Haley in 20th. Cody Ware, who we see from time to time, finishes 21st. Josh Berry 22nd. Daniel Hemrick 23rd. Martin Truex Jr. just can't get lucky enough to get up top. Finishes 24th. Watermelon Man finishes 25th. Bubba Wallace, who had a great first half of the race, finishes 26th. Alex Bowman, 27th. Austin Cindric, 28th. John Hunter Nemechek finishes 29th. AJ Allmendinger, 30th. Chase Briscoe, 31st. Corey LaJoie, 32nd. Joey Logano, 33rd. Kyle Larson, 34th. Christopher Bell, 35th. And bringing up the rear today was Todd Gilliland, finishing 36th. it was a good race, guys. It was a fun race. I will definitely have eyes on Michigan's race next year. Let me break down where we are at in the points as things stand right now. So Kyle Larson still in first with 4 wins, 28 playoff points. Christopher Bell in second with 3 wins, 25 playoff points. Denny Hamlin third with 3 wins. Byron fourth with 3 wins. Reddick now has 2 wins. He's in 5th. Blaney has 2 wins. He's in 6th. Cindric 7th with his 1 win at WT. Chase Elliott in 8th with 1 win. Joey Logano in 9th with 1 win. Daniel Suarez only making the playoffs because he got his 1 win earlier in the year. Brad Keselowski in 11th with 1 win. Alex Bowman in 12th with 1 win. As things stand right now, depending on how Wednesday's appeal decision comes out, Martin Truex Jr., as of right now, is in the playoffs, 77 points above everybody else, or above last. Tyler Gibbs is 14th. He's in as of right now, 39 points above the cut line. Chris Buescher, 16th. And Ross Chastain is in 16th, final playoff spot, 1 point ahead of Bubba Wallace for the playoffs. We are going to see Bubba Wallace is good at Daytona. He's good at the big tracks. We know this. This is where he's always been a competitor. Ross Chastain can run the big tracks too. My prediction is if these two drivers have cars that have an opportunity to win next week, are neck to neck, head to head against each other at the end, we're going to see contact. We're going to see something, and somebody's going to be mad, and it's going to make for a great show next Sunday night. Now, we got through today's race. Let's talk about next week's race. Next week's race, so Saturday night in Daytona, 400 miles, rock and roll, baby. There's 2 races left. It's Daytona and Darlington before the playoffs start. Next week's Saturday night race, 7 o'clock, 7 or 7:30 Eastern time. So make sure you guys set your DVRs to watch the race. Then make sure you set your reminders on your phones or on your computers. We will be here 9 o'clock Central Time next Sunday night, not Saturday night after the race, because it'll probably be too late. Unless the race is all, if the race is just off the chain crazy, and we're both awake and we both have time and availability, we'll do it Saturday night. But I'm telling you right now, book it for Sunday night next week, 9 o'clock. We're going to cover Daytona. We're going to get you guys an update on the playoff standings. We'll let you know what happens with Austin Dillon and the appeal with NASCAR. But I appreciate all of you for tuning in tonight. I know we went a little bit early than normal because it's a Monday night. I was by myself. And I still ended up at, almost 50 minutes for you guys. My apologies. If you guys missed the show because you're turning it in now, I'm so sorry. Hop over on the YouTube. Go ahead and watch from the beginning. I appreciate all your guys' comments. I appreciate you guys tuning in every week to sit here with me and ramble about NASCAR and my growing love of the sport. Man, I didn't think I'd say that. But you guys have a fantastic week. God bless you all. You guys take care of yourselves. I'll see you next Sunday night. We'll be talking the Daytona 400 under the lights. You guys take care. See you later.